everybody, welcome back to 539. So we are heading to this little old 1800s graveyard in the middle of a nature preserve. It looked really interesting from the maps, so I decided to come check it out. Not again really sure what we're gonna find here. It is looking like it should be worth the trip though. That's not the right turn in. It should be coming up right here, but we're gonna go and check it out, see if there's anything interesting, see if there's any historical graves there. Wow. So it's not incredibly old, but established in 1879. Although, as we've found out a couple times before, sometimes it can be very inaccurate and more reflects when the latest organization, or probably one of the first organizations, actually purchased the land. But there is some, it looks like there's an abandoned building here. I'm not sure what it represents. It might have been an old staging area, but it's looking pretty interesting. It does look like there's some modern use. And everything that you see around you right now is actually the nature preserve. I don't think there's any hunting allowed at this particular nature preserve. And we are in a graveyard, so there shouldn't be any sort of gunfire coming this way, although, as we've seen before, that's not always the case. All right, let's go ahead and get out, and we'll first go up to this little building, see if we can find out what it really is, see if we can maybe get an interior view. It looks kind of sealed up, but there might be some little cracks that we can kind of shove the camera through and get an interior view of the place. But at any rate, if you do enjoy this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and make sure you leave a comment. That always helps us to grow here and helps me to reach a new audience. And yeah, let's go and see what we can find here today. It does look like there's like a glass window on the door, but I can't tell whether or not we're really going to get a good view on the inside. It looks like it's just a old maintenance shed, but it does have a fireplace in there for sure. There is a fairly large chimney coming out of the top there. You can see a stone here that has been maybe recently either repaired or redone. Lots of insect life around here too, which is kind of to be expected. Let's see if we can get a better view from the other side here. Looked like there was somewhere another opening. Huh, that's kind of strange. I could see what appeared to be another window from the inside, but it doesn't appear to be anywhere. I don't really know. That's kind of weird. It must have been light leaking in. Through the camera, it looked like there was like a section of glass like right here that was broken, and that could be used to get a good interior view, but I'm not sure what this is. This looks like a stone that is meant to be repaired, but from the looks of the inside, it doesn't actually look like they use this building for maintenance anymore. Very interesting. see here, there's several markers that look to have decayed so far that they're actually breaking apart and giving way to this moss growth. And this appears to be one of those places where everything's just sort of mixed together. There's not one particular place where it's an historic area. They're just using whatever space they have available, even though there seems to be quite a bit of space here. Something interesting kind of up ahead here. I can't tell what it is. If it's just sort of a landscaping plastic that's been used to mark off a section, or if it's actually part of a marker. I don't know, I'm seeing a few things in the woods too that appear that they could be, looks like grave markers possibly. It doesn't look like there's a trail going back, but it is a nature preserve, so we are allowed to hike back there, so it's not an issue at all to go find out. We'll have to take a look here, but yeah, it looks just like landscaping plastic. Huh. Wow, that is really old. I'm pretty sure from looking now that it's just a piece of bark that landed in a way that resembled an old headstone. Yeah, for sure. I was just thinking of this right over here. Huh. It's kind of cool finding that old Popkin though. I'm imagining something like that is probably 50, 60 years old. I know that they don't make them like that, and I know that personally I've never drank from a can that has a pop tab like that. This is really difficult to traverse. The thorns really kind of hang on into the ground and make these dangerous loops. But I do want to keep an eye out for trails. This is one of those prime areas where I would expect to find a few things along the border and even maybe even in the woods. And since there's so much wooded area around here, I'd be kind of surprised if we didn't find something. Thought I saw an animal back there. I'm pretty sure I'm in the really northern part of Indiana, and it is a wolf release area. And so to restore the natural environment back to its original state before it got torn up with all kinds of farms and overhunted, they actually started to release wild wolves to the parks in this area. Oh, there's actually those boots. Oh, I think it's like a flower pot. Yeah. That's kind of crazy. It's actually a solid structure and would be used to hold flowers or fake bouquets, things like that. That's not something I was expecting to find. So already some pretty strange finds, some pretty cool finds, an old Popkin, and then that. The strange thing is it doesn't seem to be associated with any memorial. and they seem to be in perfect condition. So kind of makes me wonder how it made its way all the way here unless someone moved it without permission. I really don't know. Huh. Yeah, I'm not seeing any other markers or anything like that. Walk around some of these bigger trees just to see if there's anything hiding behind them now. Huh. Not seeing anything deeper in the woods either. It gets a little bit muddy and wet down this way, so I'd say it's unlikely that we're going to find much in that direction. But again, this is a pretty big circular graveyard, and so there's going to be lots of different areas that we can look around and see. Well, that's kind of interesting. I think there's a Civil War veteran right here. Well, it's a U.S. veteran of some sort. And with a birth date of 1847, I'd say more than likely is a Civil War veteran, even though these markers are used for several different wars. I'm almost expecting to get checked on. It did say, as you could see when we entered, I'm pretty sure I got it on camera, that there were security cameras in use, although I have not seen any so far, but that doesn't mean that they're not hidden really well. You never know, but if there is, I'd almost think that somebody might drive around, either security or local police department. Not that it'll be a problem. That happens a lot in places like this, and a lot of times they just check on you and continue onward. Starting to hear some interesting noises. I think it's actually a dead tree that's about ready to fall. It's like a high-pitched squealing noise. And it seems to be coming from back in the woods. It could be birds as well. Oh yeah, for sure it is one of these trees that's creaking in the wind. Huh, I'm kind of surprised that we really haven't found anything else off in the brush, especially after finding the boots in the can. It seems to be fairly clean, although there have been a few trash items. Some flowers and such that have blown away and off into the brush there, but not exactly what I was looking for. But my apologies if the camera is not as steady as what you guys are used to. The M50 doesn't seem to have as great of stabilization as the G7X did. I might have to mess around with the settings and see if I can try some other stabilization settings, but for whatever reason, it seems to be a lot jumpier. Oh, there's a railroad tie. Another interesting find. I'm not sure why there would be an old railroad spike hammered into the side of a tree. Might have been used to hold up something else. Might have been someone trying to kill off the tree. That tree has a huge growth on the side. There seems to be a trail over here. It looks like it goes pretty far back, and maybe actually into the nature reserve. Or preserve, I mean. It's kind of interesting. I'm hearing... sounds like metal on metal. I don't see any gates or anything like that. That's kind of strange. I am seeing some things in the bushes over here. I don't know if it's more bottles, but you can see how the trail is clearly going off in that direction. I don't know if it's part of the graveyard or if it's part of the nature preserve. Yeah, that's just trash back there. Wow, this is really muddy. Wow, I'm literally sinking in. There's something up here. Kind of looks like it's just part of the trail, like a little bridge that was placed over a stream at one point. Again, I don't think it has anything to do with the actual graveyard, but wow, quite a view from here though. I do see something against that tree over there. Okay, this is just gonna sink right into the water. Not what I was expecting. I want to go check out this tree though. Could be either just regular stones with moss growing on them or a fallen limb. But I usually find things, especially old gravestones, leaned up against trees, so I wanted to make sure. This area is really mossy, but you can see it's just looks like a regular rock. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything standing out. But I am hearing that metal on metal screeching sound again. It seems to be coming from this direction over here. So maybe we can walk that way and see if we can find it. Debating whether or not to go back here and have a look at some of this old trash. Oh wow, what is that? There's something metal. Oh, it's an exercise bike. Let's see the pedals right here and where the chain is. And there's the stand that keeps the tire there off of the ground. Wow, it's almost fully intact. Another weird find back here. Almost seems as if somebody was using it as a dumping ground. So far this place is not disappointing. Some very, very odd things. Since we're finding some bigger things and some stranger things, I'm kind of gonna leave those cans and bottles behind. They didn't look like they're incredibly old. But I want to find what's making that noise though. I can't see anything through the woods. I think I'm gonna go back up to the road here and take that around a ways, and then we'll dive back into the woods. But it seems like we're closer to whatever's making the noise. And we will actually go up in the center here and check out some of these old historic graves and see what we can find there too. I did want to go around the edges first. And as you can tell here, there is definitely another trail that's leading down this way. We'll take it for a little bit here. It seemed like this one should be a little bit closer to whatever's making that noise. It just doesn't sound to me like it should be the trees. It doesn't sound like a wood screeching sound. I think there's something metal here, but it's not what was making the noise. Huh. Some sort of the bottom of an old bucket or an old pan. Lots of junk here. But it does seem to be fairly old. That was an interesting noise too. There might be somebody that pulled in. Kind of sounded man-made. Not really 100% sure though. And we're getting almost to the edge of the tree line again, where it's gonna get muddy and into the swampy areas, so I don't think we're gonna run into anything, but there is another definite trail going in that direction. You can see up ahead here, it goes right to the edge of the water line. Whoa, kind of sketchy footing here. I'm not sure if I'm actually walking on a real trail or if it's just a animal trail. Could be anything at this point. Well, not seeing anything. We'll keep looking though. Be interesting to see here if somebody actually did pull in. There's kind of a strange noise, so I'm not 100% sure. If it was somebody, it almost sounded like it would have been maintenance. I can't tell if I just heard a voice or if that was the metal squeaking again. It happened so quickly. The way it sounds, I don't know how well the camera's picking it up, but it sounds to me like an old, rusted out farmer's gate, or some sort of metal gate, or wrought iron. I'm not sure exactly, but that's what it sounded like to me. There's an old bottle. Might have been part of a vase. Huh. no sign of what's making this noise, though. Just heard it again. It sounds like a squeaky, rusted hinge. Looks like chunks of cinder block there. Definitely would not have been our noisemaker. Might have to cut ahead a little bit and stop filming for a little while. I don't want this to be an incredibly long video. But I do feel like at any moment we could stumble upon something else. It looks like I'm still alone though. I'm not sure what that noise would have been. It might have just been a cracking branch. It kind of sounded like wood hitting something. There might be... No, that's a down log, okay. It looked for a moment like there was going to be another headstone out there. There's a Masonic grave here. Very interesting name. I don't believe it would be the famous John Hopkins, but I guess you never know. And way in the distance there, looks like there's actually a door at the main gateway up there. We'll have to check that out as well and see if we can get an interior view of that. I can't really tell if it's like just like a little guardhouse, probably just ornamental if anything. But I don't believe that's what was making the sound either, so we'll definitely have to pull out the other camera too and see if we can get a little bit clearer of a view inside. I also have a flashlight in the car that we can use to illuminate the inside of that building up there. Get a little bit of a better idea of maybe what they were using it for. Okay, well, I found another plaque, and it appears to be next to a veteran's grave. I can't tell if there's actually any writing that's remained on it. It looks like it might have been worn away. Or maybe it's on the other side, I don't know. Oh yeah, there is some writing on it. It's kind of interesting because it appears to be previous to the Civil War, but it says that he was involved in some conflicts in the Navy in Lake Michigan. That's incredible. So, incredibly interesting find though, and something I've never run into before, as well as that old of a veteran of the actual Navy. So that's kind of exciting to find. Alright, so once again cutting over, we found this interesting, it's actually just a chunk of a headstone. It seems to be incredibly out of place here. And you can actually tell from where it cracked and the names and dates that it's only probably about a quarter of the whole stone. You can see the 30th here, and then an A-L-E-Y, and whatever the end of the last name would have been right there. And again, it's so spread out here that it's hard to tell when you're gonna run into something really historic. And then occasionally there's some that's just laying on the ground and really hard to see. Interesting little plaque over here. I don't know if it's a veterans plaque, what it is, but I don't think I've ever seen anything like it before. Oh no, it's actually an older Boy Scouts plaque. Now that is something incredibly new I've never seen. To any Boy Scouts out there, if you are aware of such a thing, if something like that still exists to this day, let me know in the comments below. I've never in my adventures ever stumbled upon a Boy Scouts sort of, not really a veterans plaque, but it looks like some sort of ranking member at the very least. And so I found that really, really interesting. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is grab the other camera out of the car here, and then we'll head back up to the little abandoned building up there and see if maybe we can get a little bit better of a view of the interior. It seems like the G7X does a little bit better of a job in getting through those small little bars like that and getting a good focus on the inside, although this one didn't seem to do too badly this time. But I'm also going to grab the flashlight too and see if we can illuminate it a little bit. Alright, we are now back on the Canon G7X here, heading back up to the abandoned building, and we'll see exactly what we can find in there, or at least a little bit better view of what we can find in there. Hopefully, we'll see. Alright, here we go. Oh, there's actually a hole. I didn't even notice that before. I'm trying to get, oh, my flashlight's dying, but I'm trying to get a good view of where the chimney is going down. I can't really tell. There seems like there might be an indent in the floor. I really can't tell if it's getting any use anymore. There are a few tarps that are covering things up there, but another one that's hard to tell. It's like an old piece of a tennis ball here. Huh. Very interesting. But got a decent interior view. Now we're going to hop back in the car. I'll do a little bit of driving around here, see if I can spot anything else historic. And if not, what I'm going to do is head back down to the entrance and see if we can get another interior view of the little, what looks like a gatehouse. Well, there is a definite structure. It looks sort of like a gatehouse, and there is a definitely open interior, so let's get out and take a look. Someone definitely pulled in there. Didn't really look official, so I'm not too worried, but it is kind of interesting that it said electronic surveillance and then somebody ended up coming. But again, there are some newer memorials here, so it's kind of hard to tell if it really would be somebody checking in on me. This is really kind of cool. Kind of looks like it used to have a window in it at one point. Or maybe bars. Lots and lots of nuts. And then there's some sort of ventilation pipe right there. Huh. Definitely looks like it used to be a gatehouse. It's interesting that it says 1879 to 1923 because it definitely appeared that there were some newer graves here, and you can see that they actually gave a reasoning for the security cameras here. So I guess that is good, although I could not find any security cameras. I did kind of look around to see if I could notice any, but nothing really stood out. Okay, so here's an explanation for the years. And we can see the historical sign right here. Kind of interesting the way that they made the numbers here. They're just little stones that have been painted and then set into the concrete. Overall though, really, really cool place. So it'll be kind of interesting to see if they end up pulling around immediately or if they're just here visiting. But at any rate, I think that's going to do it for this location. Thank you all so much for joining me on this adventure in northern Indiana, here at this amazing old historic graveyard. And if you never hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure if you're liking these adventures to hit that thumbs up and share them on your favorite social media platform. That helps us really to reach a brand new audience and to grow, especially with the new YouTube algorithm. Thanks to everybody once again, and I will see all of you in our next adventure. Looks like they did just do a loop around. They were just checking on me. Very interesting. And they did turn the same way as me, but I don't think that they're following me. I think they're just heading back to where they came from. I don't think I set off any like alarms or anything like that. Maybe it is a sort of private security service that was watching the cameras and they operate locally, so hard to tell. We'll see if they continue to follow. If they do, then I'll continue to film, but otherwise, once again, see you in the next adventure.